Hey everybody, I'm going to be streaming in just a couple minutes. If I could check my own stream. My own stream. Oh, and if you're joining me from my community or whatever, just say hey, drop your name in the comments. Mm. All right, hang tight for just a sec. Oh, hey, gotta leave. Hey, Elena. Oh my goodness, glad to see you. All right, let me share my screen here. I was a little bit confused because it was like showing me an error message on my streaming. So just let me know like how if there's anything funky with the quality or whatever, just let me know. But we are gonna have some fun today. And I'm gonna be sharing my new gold play brushes and just a couple tips and tricks for working with those. Cause you can do a lot with them. And let me just pop over to my project here. So these gold play brushes, like I had a couple people asking me what was the difference between the 24 karat and then the gold play, but they're really quite different, even though they are like in gold, you know, to create these like metallic effects or whatever. But they're both using like, I'm sampling from gold images, and I'm using the Photoshop mixer brush. But with these ones, like whereas the 24 karat gold, I was using more of the wet brush settings. These ones, I was really embracing like the shiny effect and using more dry settings to create a whole new sort of set of brushes that really have like more dimensionality. So the 24 karat gold brushes were more like looking like wet gold paint. And these brushes are more like dimensional gold, like kind of like more, I don't know, more three dimension, like basically when you're putting those settings like on more dry, you can get more of these dimensional settings. Oh, hey Nicole, super happy to see you. And some really cool textures. So really they're quite different. There are a couple that are a little bit similar to the 24 karat gold. I do have a few creamies in there, but I have a lot of these like accent brushes like you see here. And because we're like taking advantage of that, the Photoshop mixer brush, and it's picking up like that gold, and basically it's stamping it again and again and again, and it's like when you do that, it gives you that really cool dimensional effect, and when you move it, then you'll see as you paint, but you can see some of the textures that I created here with those gold brush strokes, and then also some feathery ones, so it's like a little bit different. And on a previous live stream, I did this frame here, which was quite fun. And also, one of the things that I like, I put in these, what do you call it? I put in some layer styles with a little bit of a bevel and emboss, a little bit of a drop shadow. And so when you add that little bit of a emboss, little bit of a drop shadow, then you can really embrace that dimensionality and kind of like stack these brush strokes on top of each other and create some really cool things. So here's some of the creamy brushes that I did with these. And they're different than the 24 karat gold, and they got a little bit more shine in them. I've got some stringy brushes. I did this as a live stream. That one I've already done as a live stream. Here you can see a lot of like the chain-like effects, which are really fun. And yeah, so most of you guys have like, I know lots of you guys have already downloaded these brushes. Here is kind of a sample of like how you can stack them on top of each other and create these like amazing dramatic sort of shapes. And yeah, so lots of fun with them. But I wanted to share a couple little tips with you guys that I think you're going to really like with these gold brushes. And just so you know, I have these brushes on my website, but if you're a Behance subscriber, which is only $10, you can download the whole collection right now. And normally I'm selling them on my site for like 21.99. So anyway, it's a really good deal, and I definitely want to like hook up my subscribers and everything. Here's a little something I was playing with like a little tree. This is like not even not, you know, not this is just the start of an idea, but I kind of like this little like simplicity and just playing with a few brush strokes to make this kind of cool tree. But one of the things that I wanted to tell you guys, that if you are, you know, you just downloaded my brushes and you, one thing I want to tell you is that it doesn't just have to be in gold. So the idea is to get these really cool metallic effects, but you can do that in different colors. Oh, hey Joyce, glad to see you. Thanks for dropping in a comment. And one thing that if you worked with the 24 karat gold brushes before, you know that like, so I have this little gold palette that I use all the time that I created and I manipulated with all these images. Hey Carballo, and it's gold, but you know, you could actually like change the color of this palette. Like say you want to make it green. So you could put these like different, I have in this PSD, you could put these layers on to darken it, to have a color overlay. You could turn this green. So basically what I'm saying is that we could, if we want to create these metallic effects in say green, like green metallic, we could sample from, we could make our palette green metallic, or we could just draw in the regular gold brush strokes and then apply a layer style to that to change the color of the gold. And so that's what I'm doing. And honestly, that is a little bit more time effective. So we're all about like saving time or whatever. So I'm just going to quick show a sample of that. And it looks like I use one of my little furry, let me see here. There's too many of these cool brushes. The gold play brushes. Let me find which one that I used here. I think I used like this decorative 42. So I'm gonna go in there with, I'm gonna grab, I've got my mixer brush selected and I'm grabbing the dry and decorative brush 42. And so if I just make like a brush stroke, let me just zoom in here. I'm just working on this same document because I can't be bothered to make a new one. So as we can see, it's kind of got this cool texture. It's like furry, gold, whatever. And I think that I used something like this on this little tree. So basically, what I could do is I could make a little, why is this? Let's see here. It's, this one is like a little bit, it's kind of a little bit wild, the brush setting here, but okay, let me just make a little brush stroke like this. Okay, I'm not going to worry about making it perfect. Okay, so there's a brush stroke. We've got it in the gold. It's fine. But I added in this style, in this collection, these color add-on styles. So let me see here. And so that's included with this kit. So I'm just going to apply this darken in color layer style. And essentially all this is a few different color overlays. So I put the color overlay on. I have a black one, and then the thing is the layer style set to overlay. I've got one that's soft light, and then the top one is the actual color. So I'm going to click in here and then pick a green from over here, okay? And let's see here. Leave that. And then if it's too dark, I can just adjust some of my layer styles. So this is for everybody who's enjoying, you know, who just got the, yesterday I just released the gold play brushes. And so this is something that's going to be really helpful to you guys for getting the most out of them. And, you know, I want to save you guys time. So I'll click OK. And so now whenever we paint something on this layer, now it's going to be in green. So that's a little bit of like, let's see here. Let me grab a different one here. That's the same one. So that way we can just expand a little bit more, have a little bit more fun with these new brushes. Even like the creamy, we can create these like really nice sort of shiny brush strokes. The shiny brushes is one of my favorite part of this new collection, and I think it's going to be really fun. And I've got a lot of different things that um, I am planning to do, but that's just an example of how to change the color of that gold into, a color so we can do more things with these brushes, because not everything needs, even though they are gold play and it's, metallic, but we can do metallic in all the colors. So that's the number one thing that I wanted to share with you guys, so that whenever you're playing with your gold play collection, you can be having more fun like that. Another thing is, okay, say, let's see here, let me grab a brush here, is adding the dimensionality layers. Because a lot of times with these cool 3D sort of gold brushes is that we want to add those layer styles, like, which has a little bevel and emboss and a little drop shadow to kind of layer those strokes on top of each other like we see here, and that adds a little bit extra dimensionality. But say we've already got all those adjustment layers to change the color. Now, if we want to go double up on our layer styles, and I go like add one of my add dimension layer styles, which is just a little bit of a like bevel and emboss and a little bit of drop shadow, it clears out that layer style. So I'm just going to undo that. Let's just undo it here. So this is something that helped me in this little drawing and this little like sketch that I'm doing over here. So what I did was I created a new like layer group and then put that green one in there. And then I applied the dimensionality layer style to the group instead, because that way I could keep them totally separate and I don't have to worry if I change, if I wanted to change the bevel and emboss, trying to find it on all those layer styles. So that's the second thing that I wanted to share with you guys that just have these gold play brushes and you want to get the most out of them. So you want to keep, like if you're changing color on the brush, to keep, do that on the layer, but then say you're adding the dimensionality on top of that, the little bevel and emboss, the little bit of drop shadow, keep those separate by putting them in a group. So let's just grab, say I have like, I like these stringy brushes are quite cool. So here is, that's like stringy brush 5. And then I could, so on the little tree that I have over there, I've got 2 kind of different brush strokes, and I've got them within the folder, but then I have the bevel and emboss in the folder. So that's something just to help you guys out with those new brushes and to have some fun with that. And yeah, so let's just look through the brushes really quick in case you're just joining or whatever. We're playing with my gold play brushes, which I just released yesterday, and I'm so excited. You can create all these really fun 3D dimensional effects using the Photoshop Mixer Brush tool and mainly dry settings, which is cool. Like the dry shiny I think is my favorite. So let me just do a little strokey stroke here. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with, here's the dry shiny. Oh, and another thing is when I created these brushes, I kept the brush smoothing to like about 10% to 20%, but I might make it, I like to take the brush smoothing up. It's just sometimes depending on which system, of Photoshop you have, that can kind of slow you down a little bit. So I didn't want to automatically by default put that on all the brushes, but maybe I'll put I'll duplicate the set and have the brush smoothing up high on all of them, because I find myself using the smoothing a lot because I don't have that steady of a hand. So here you've got that dry shiny brush, and I just think it's so much fun. And I think these are just going to be really cool for making some really fun dimensional illustrations for the holidays and stuff. I think we can do a lot of cool things there. Um, and then we have a lot of these kind of chain sort of effects. So it's when you're like having um, that Photoshop dry brush settings, the mixer brush, and we're having a dry heavy load on it, and it's stamping, that color that you sampled again and again. It really creates this sort of like dimensional effect, and it really gives it that feeling of like more dimensionality. And then like we add that little bit of bevel and emboss, a little bit of drop shadow to that layer, and then it creates even more. So it can be really quite fun. Cooler than if you just say add a gold layer style to the whole thing, because then it just kind of gives it more of a flat appearance. So that's kind of the fun of those ones. And then, and then eventually we're going to get to this frame here, which was actually really simple to do. So I'm just going to give you one quick little tip because this is my first live stream that I've done since I launched these brushes. But another thing is, so whenever I created these, I love gold. I love that. I love creating these dimensional gold brush strokes, and I love everything shiny and cool and fun. But what I encourage you to do is play around with sampling different images with these brushes, and it doesn't have to be metallic gold. So you can create some really fun effects, and just have fun. Grab a different image, and I'll show you some that I've already played with. So here's one of my, actually, no, let me just make a new, I'm tired of seeing the little, what do you call it? Let's here, make this, let's duplicate these layers. I guess I could just make a new document. This is how I make a new document when I'm lazy, even though I could just hit new document. But I'm just tired of seeing the little tree over there. So let me just make a new layer. Okay, so I took one of these, dear goodness. I took one of I forget which brush I took from this collection, but I sampled a pearl image instead of sampling gold. And we can create some really fun, cool effects like that. So we've got like this pearlescent brush stroke. And yeah, so just, play around with sampling different things. Let me show you where I sampled this from. So this was a color palette of little like images that I made to go along with, oh gosh, my wet paint studio. And so it's like really, I just kind of cut out some images here. And so basically I took one of, where is this here? Pearlescent. Okay. So I took my brush and then I just, option click to load this color from this layer up into my brush. And so this is like little images of pearls. And then we can create a really cool, fun brush, and you can make some quite cool effects. You can see that those little bits of pearl that are still staying in there. Let me just grab some different ones here. Like here's the stringy brush, but one cool thing is, okay, say I had just sampled that pearl. If I grab a different brush and I change the brush size, whatever is preloaded in that brush is going to drop out of that brush, and then it's going to take whatever I last sampled. So here is this really fun stringy brush, and it's with this pearl loaded up into it. And you can just get some really cool effects. Like here is stringy 7, which is a really fun, wild, kind of a hairy brush. And let me just change the size, and now it's going to load up with that pearl. And you can just have some really fun effects. So you can get creative, make some abstract things, use these in your arts, whatever. And here is another one. Let me just zoom a little bit here, that I sampled with like this dark pearl image. And look at these cool sort of fun strokes we're creating with this. So it's very wild, it's very fun, but it's cool. And so let me just show you the image that I sampled that from. I put different images on a little layer here to sample. And this is one of my shiny brushes. I'm not gonna like look right now which one it is exactly, but here I have this image of this pearlescent sort of, I guess it's like pearl, like a macro shot or something. So if I hover over it, option, click, that's going to load those colors from that image into my brush. And then we can get these fun sort of effects. And yeah, I put my smoothing up already. But, we can make some really fun backgrounds, digital art, what have you. So that is this is with the gold play collection, but I'm just wanting to tell you guys that it doesn't necessarily have to be gold. Oh, hey, Patrick, super happy to see you. I was just showing the gold play brushes and to like let people know that it doesn't just, even though that I'm using sampling gold, it doesn't have to be in gold. So lots of fun to be had with these brushes, and I'm trying to like, ooh, that one looks fun. I love this brush because it's actually using the Photoshop bristle brush engine, but whenever I move it like going up in a certain direction, it creates these really crazy sort of, where is it now? I don't know, when I turn direction, it creates some funky little effects. So I'm just all about having fun with the brushes. And then here's another one that is like that little kind of furry brush that I had showed you before, but I loaded it up with I sampled, let's see here, oh, this palette right here. So this is like kind of from an image originally. It's like some crumpled sort of holographic paper. Um, but now one thing with this brush, I want to like sample from that image there. And if I hover an option and click and look up into my little window here, it shows me what I've sampled. Well, now that I've sampled this, you kind of want like the colors to fill up that little sample window. So if it doesn't do that, a lot of times I will left bracket and take my brush size down a little bit and then option click until that window is pretty much filled, and then I can right bracket a few times to get my brush size back up. And then I can go and create this really fun sort of brush. Oh, let's put my smoothing off up so it looks really cool. So anyway, that is the tip that's the main tips that I wanted to share with the gold play brushes. And let's see here, because I just launched those last night and everybody's, excited to use them, but I want to make sure that you get the most out of it. So let me go to up vertical. So now we're going to get into this frame here, and I'm just going to keep my little gold brushes for reference over here in case I need to. I still don't have them all memorized, and I spent like, oh my gosh, I spent so much time finishing this collection and yeah, editing, adding, or whatever. And I really should kind of change up the gold because they all kind of like, when you look at the little chart and stuff, it all could kind of like flow together, but they're all quite different. So this frame was super easy to make, and so it's just a few of these brush strokes layered on top of each other. It's got a little bit of bevel and emboss and stuff, little bit of bevel and emboss and drop shadow applied. And one of the key things that I also did is I put all my gold layers into a folder like I talked about earlier and applied in this case, I had all of my layers of my gold, and then I had the bevel and emboss applied to each layer individually. But rather than having the gold be really goldy, I wanted it to match my image. So I had the gold on the folder level, which I'll show you whenever I get into it. I put the copper overlay or the more of a brown tone to change the gold to match my image. So that was a little trick that I did there. And I thought this image was like quite pretty. And so I thought it would be fun to make a, what do you call it? Like a frame like this. Because with a frame like this, you want something like those beautiful the Indian dress and stuff, they're already so ornate. So I thought it matched really well with this. And what's funny is it's like Diwali today, I think, or something, but I didn't want to claim that this is something Diwali inspired because that was coincidence. And I don't want to be like, I don't know anything about Diwali, so I don't want to be like culturally insensitive. So just to make things faster, I'm gonna get another like thing started here. So this is basically what I started with, and it was like kind of an 8 by 10 proportion size. And I put, you know, the clipping mask in the center. So I've just got like a nice sort of frame and clipped my photo to it. So that's how we started. Actually, let's move this over here for reference. So that'll be a little bit better so we can see what we're doing here. And so the first thing that I think I'll do the edges um, later because I want to get really into this, the gold part for you guys. Because let's see here. Oh no, let's cancel that. Okay, we're going to just leave it like that. Although I think I had, okay, I'm just going to lighten it up just so I can see the edges a little bit better. Okay, so the first thing I did, we're going to get into these brush strokes and make this super fast. You're going to be shooketh. So I'm just going to make a couple layers and I'll go ahead and put them in a folder. And because then we're going to put all of our gold layers inside that folder. So already now, I know that I want my gold to be kind of, to match this, I want it to be copper. So I'll go ahead to my group and I'll go into my layer styles, and I have these color add-on styles because I work lots with gold. So I'm just going to add, put a copper, and all it is a color overlay with the blend mode set to color, and it's got a brown. So all the strokes that I'm creating are going to be more copper toned than the regular gold tone. But I'll turn that off for now just so you can see the gold anyway, because it's quite pretty. And let me find my first stroke that I used, and it is, I want to say it's this one here. Yeah. Oh, and let's put this group above our photo. That would be nice so we could see it. So yeah. So here we go. This is using one of the gold play brushes. Let's see, let me make sure that it's the right brush. I think so. Yeah, okay. I think so. Okay, so all I did, and I didn't worry, honestly, I didn't really worry that that it's perfect around the edges, but I just, I kind of went a little easy and loose with it. But one thing that I just did is I'm going to take my brush size down. So if I take my brush size down by clicking my left arrow or my left bracket, it's going to take that last color that I sampled, which is an iridescent. So we don't want that. So we're going to go back to my gold palette, and I'm going to sample, or maybe one of my gold papers here. I've also got this for myself in this format. And so I'm resampling some gold. I'm like putting some gold up into that brush. And yeah, that looks pretty good. I think I'll stick with the darker thing over here. That looks nice. Okay. So if it's, say for example, if it's a little bit, if you load up some light gold and you paint with that brush, it looks too light, then go to a section that's like darker. And yeah, so that's pretty good, or somewhere in between. And we load our brushes up by hitting Option or Alt if you're on a PC. So we're just going to do that. So let's see here. Let's look at our frame. Now, usually when I do it by myself, it always turns out slightly better. It's always like, I'm always joking that the one that I do by myself at home or whatever is like that whenever I'm redoing it on the live stream, it's like the Wish version of it. So what you ordered versus what you get in the mail. So I'm just taking this, I'm holding down my shift key to make those lines straight. And then I'm simply going over that edge where the clipping mask, meets or whatever. So that's good enough. We're going with it. And let's see here. I'm going to click, I have some I have with this set some dimensional add-on layer styles, which are just simply a few starting points. It's a little bit of bevel and a little bit of emboss, but it can really add a little bit to those gold layer styles and just add a little bit of oomph that makes it look quite dimensional. So, and you can tweak those later. So I can click in here and maybe I want to take the size down because see, we can see it moving and okay, this is like a small stroke. So we don't need it to be looking that thick. So I'm playing with the bevel and emboss size and then even the depth. So just, just adding a little bit, the, the drop shadow with the linear burn. So I'll click OK. And I like that. I think that's a good layer style. It's just adding a little bit extra ornateness. And so we're good. We're going to go with it. So let's see which the next brush. So I'm going to actually, since I like how that, that depth looks on it with that layer style, I'm going to go with it. And now if I turn on the layer style that's with my group, oops, oh dear, let's put that inside there. Oh, I know why. I accidentally have my portrait inside of that group. So now here you can see the difference between the classic gold and the copper, but I like the look of the classic gold while I'm creating, so I'm just going to leave it like that. So we've got one brush stroke for this frame. So let's duplicate that layer. I'm holding down my Option key and I'm dragging that layer to duplicate it. I'm going to select all and delete, and now I'm going to make the next stroke on here. And let's just click on here. This one, it looks like I just had a little bit of drop shadow. Okay. I'm going to turn off my bevel and emboss. I'll just leave it on. We'll see how it goes. But now I'm going to get, it was one of my creamy brushes. Oh yeah, I think it's Creamy 7. And okay, that's way too big. Hold on. I'm going to take down the size. I'm hitting my left bracket. And yeah. Now, one of the things with these brushes is like, okay, so this is like a creamy brush, which is soft and creamy, which I love. These ones don't look sometimes so great. Like if you're doing a straight line like this, you're kind of like, at the beginning it looks cool, but afterwards you're like, that's kind of boring, like whatever. But when we it's in the end it's going to look good because when we go straight in each way it kind of creates these grooves, and so that's going to work for our frame. So that's going to be quite cool. So let me just make sure I get the size kind of how I want it. So this is good, 70, and I'm gonna, because I've changed the size and it's going to pull from whatever color I've last sampled, I'm gonna actually resample my gold because then it looks a little bit like better. So let's go find my gold palette, and I'm going to resample from, say, or my gold papers. It's pretty the same, from like this area. So let's just do that. Let's just pop this baby over here. Going to keep our little frame reference so that we know what it's going to look like. And so let me undo this. So now I am just going to leave some of this so that you can see it. And okay, it might not look exactly like the one that I did before, but whatevs. Okay, maybe that's too much. So let's do like this. And each one is going to look different. So I'm holding down my shift key. I'm just drawing a straight line with this brush. So we're creating this and we're covering up some of this. I don't know if I love that, but anyway, that's a little bit too far. I kind of don't want to cover up like too much of that gold because it's quite pretty. But whatever. And if you were doing this like for something final or whatever, you could make sure you do it perfect, but that's good enough. We're fine with this. So, and as you can see, like the highlights are different on each side, so it really kind of like looks cool. And oh, you know what? I'm gonna turn off the bevel and emboss on this one, I think, and just leave a little bit of a drop shadow. So that's here. Let me just refer to back. So there's the other one. Yeah, it looks pretty the same. And then on top of this, this is the good thing about these brushes is that I like stacking them on top of each other and, having a little bit of drop shadow on each one, and it creates that very cool dimension. But it doesn't feel like 3D modeled or anything because I'm like, well, I couldn't be bothered with that. I couldn't it's too much for me. My brain doesn't work like that. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this bottom layer because it's got that little bevel and emboss. And I'm going to cut that. So I just want, or I could just copy the layer style. It really doesn't matter which one you do. I just kind of, sometimes I just copy the layer. So now I've got the layer style already applied before I'm doing my brush stroke, and it's got that little bit of bevel and emboss. And I am grabbing my dry and decorative, I think it's brush 18. So yeah, I think that's it. And let me see how it fits in here. Yeah, that looks cool. So it's kind of in that groove, and I think it really looks like cool. So we're just going to, we want to kind of cover that center part of that gold, and we're just getting that, building up those gold effects here. So I like it. And you know what, let's hear. There we go. I'll go ahead and put the copper layer style on because now I think it's looking better with that picture. So, no, let's, and if you have any questions, feel free to just holler. I've been going kind of fast today, but I'll also do some videos with those tips for working with these brushes, like individually on YouTube or whatever, as like a separate little thing. But the main thing is because these are just brand new brushes and I just released them, I wanted to get those tips for all of you guys that have already downloaded, because there's been a ton of you guys that have already downloaded. So as you can see, it's coming together. And this was 3 Photoshop brushes. So we let the brushes do all of the hard work. And then the last part of this for the frame, aside from the accents, is around the outside. So with this one, I remember I took that dry decorative brush number 19. And let's see here. Where is my, okay, there's my gold play. I just want to show you the preview of this. Dry decorative brush 19. Yeah. Now this brush, oh, and you know what? I'm going to save this because, let's hear it live. Okay. Save your work, people. Back up. Okay, so this is kind of a chainy sort of brush, but I wanted to, what do you call it? I wanted to adjust this. Sometimes you have to change the brush for your project. Like, it's not, say, perfect out of the box and you're like, okay, I need to just adjust it a little bit. So what I did was I spaced this brush out. So, because I didn't want it to be so tight. So I go over to my brush settings, and and whenever it's already loaded up with gold and all that, so that's good. So I just went over here and increased the spacing, and then let's see how it goes from top to bottom. That's pretty good, but I could space it out just a little bit more. And so yeah, space that out. And yeah, I liked how that looked. So whatever. So it's good. So then the last thing that I did was I just went around the outside. Yeah, that's okay. It's not perfect, but, and then I just created one last stroke. You know what? I think I'm going to resample because I like how it had a little highlight on the end here. So I'm going to go over to my gold palette and let's kind of get like maybe a lighter area and see. So sometimes if you don't like exactly how the gold looks, you can resample from a different area of your image and then get a whole different effect. So it can be really fun, like that's nice. I like that because you need a little, since it's a different brush stroke, you need a little bit extra. You want to see it against there. So that adds a touch of contrast. So that I'm liking. Okay, good. So we've got that. I'm just going to just adjust that. I could, did I write on the same one? Oh, I did. Okay, so if you do it on the same layer and you want to make a new layer, select your area and then hit Command Shift J, and that will put that on a new layer. And it'll also make sure that the same layer style is applied to that or whatever. So I did that. And then, oh, one thing that's different is when I spaced it out for vertical, it's too spaced out horizontal. So what I'm going to do is, because that's just kind of how this brush is, they're a little bit wild. So I'm doing my 2 vertical strokes, and then I'll go back and like space it out less and do my horizontal stroke. Oh, it's like, it's funny, it has a different shape when I go that direction. Oh, now that's too close together. So that was a little thing that I did. But yeah, don't worry about, don't feel shy to like, oh no, I don't like that. I'm going to have to resample my gold. Don't be shy to like, play with the brushes, experiment, because, it won't mess up the original brush. So you can't mess it up. And then, you can, if you like how it turned out, then you can save it. But let's see here. Okay, that's better. So there we go. That's for the side. So here we are on, undo. Holding down that shift key and it, what do you call it? Okay, that's good enough. Connected those. So as you can see, that frame was 4 brush strokes, so super easy. And it looks really like dimensional and cool and yeah, and every time that you brush with it, it looks a little bit different. Here we go. All right, and so the last thing that I'm going to show you is I just did those little like, what do you call it? The little, oh gosh, jewels on the corner, because I loved inside the image. I love, like, you kind of have to think about the whole thing. So I did the little jewels. So basically these ones, so I'm always using my own products, but the thing is I make these products to make my life easier. So I used one of my Celestial Gold Mine layer styles. So those are like these layer styles that emulate, what do you call it? Like raw crystals. And they're super fun. They're really easy, but it's nice because I just have to draw, a shape and then apply the layer style on it, and it gives me this nice jeweled effect, which essentially it's just like a pattern overlay of an image, but they're really great. So, but with this one, I don't need any special brush, so I'm just gonna grab my like just a super simple basic brush, and I'll just go over here, and I'm just gonna draw like a shape like this. And I think I don't want to take too much time. So I had this layer style. Oh, for the love. Well, I did have it right over here, but I keep my styles in my panel here. And so I think it was like a citrine layer style. There we go. Maybe citrine 8. So these are great jumping points to create amazing jeweled stuff, and check out some of my previous live streams, if you want to check that out. So I'm going to do, let's see here. They're like one in the corners. So I've got that citrine, and then I'm going to make a new layer style. And these ones I did like one of my, oh gosh, why are these not by name? Oh, I know why. By name, okay. I had a rubies, like a ruby layer style. So let me just put a ruby. But, we're all about making things easy for ourselves. So I just thought it would be pretty to have like citrine with some like ruby accents. Because in here you've got like a little bit of red, a little bit of like orange. So let's just do that. So simple shapes. There's no drawing involved here, no drawing ability needed. We're just taking advantage of all the tools of Photoshop to create really cool things. So that's cool. So there's our thing. And then the last one, okay. So actually, I didn't want to cover up, I wanted to create some gold around those jewels. So I took one last brush, and instead of doing it above the jewels, because I felt like it will you will lose the jewels, I am going to create a layer underneath. Actually, I'll put it in that whole group of the gold, the copper gold layers. So I actually chose, what did I choose? Oh, it was this Dry Decorative 35 brush, and it's just a cool sort of um, kind of a chain, metallic chain sort of inspired brush. And what I liked about it was that there was, it kind of looked like the settings of jewelry. So I was like, okay, this is the perfect brush to like use to, for these for these jewelry settings here. So I just took that brush and kind of like went behind it like that. And let me just copy my layer style. So I'm going to hit Command Shift C and then Command Shift P, paste it on there. And then now we've like got it it looks like a proper jewel setting. So I could get more in depth with it if I wanted to, but that's good enough anyway. Oh my God, how are we on time? Okay, we're less than an hour, so that's good. 16, 18, 19. Okay, 6:20. Trying to keep these, I got to keep these short and sweet so things are not too like boring for you guys. But I had a lot of things that I wanted to talk about with those brushes that I finally got out yesterday. So I was really keen to like get those tips out there for you guys, because I want everybody that has already went and downloaded them to get the most use out of your brushes. So, so that was it. Oh, and I can quick show you guys, if you want, how I did the sides, with my Renaissance brushes. But let's see here. I'm just going to count real quick. There's one, two, the frame has got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 5 different gold brush strokes, 5 different brushes, and that's it. And then 2 layer styles. But I think it turned out quite cool, and it looks like a really fun frame. And let's see here. I'm going to make a new layer. And then the last thing that I did was I grabbed my Modern Renaissance. Okay. I don't know exactly which pattern I did. Okay, I'll take this one. So I grabbed my Modern Renaissance brushes, which are gorgeous. And actually they look amazing with, when you paint them with this gold, like use the mixer brush technique, put the settings on dry, and then sample some gold. It looks really cool. So I did something like this. So I did something like this, but again, I wanted that background, although I'm kind of loving that now. That's crazy. Like, you guys have to let me know, if you have any opinion, um, which one you like, because I'm kind of loving that one, TBH, with the gold on the side. So I'm curious to see if you like the blue or the gold. But what I did basically, I'm going to leave that gold there, is um, is I just put a color overlay on it. So I used one of my color add-on styles and I hit darken in color, and then I just changed the color overlay. So I wanted it to match that blue. So I did something like this, and I wanted it to be nice and dark and in the background. So I kind of upped the soft light, the black. I got a black color overlay and, made sure it was like this. And then I took a second layer. So let me just duplicate that layer and cut it. And then I took a different one of my Modern Impressionist brushes. Gosh, but I also like wanted it lighter. Gosh, I don't know which one I took. But basically, I like layering these Impressionist brushes, but it needs to be like so that you could see that they're on it's a different pattern. Anyway, I did something like that. Um, oh, maybe I took the one that I just did. Maybe I took like the blend, I took the opacity down because I wanted you to see like where I overlaid a different pattern. So I just, did something like that and kind of had some highlights around here. So I did something like this. But I'll put those links down below. Those are some really cool brushes that I created. They're called Modern Renaissance, and it was actually all those brushes were inspired by a Dior collection that was inspired by the Renaissance. And I thought that was so cool. And I had had somebody suggesting before that I do like a Renaissance inspired collection. And so, but what was fun about these brushes is that I went on to gosh, what did I do? I went on to like public domain, the art things, all those websites where they have all that public domain art. It was library ones. It was like one of the library, gosh, I forget where the library was. But what I did was I pulled these patterns from textiles. So all of them were different textiles. Let me paste that layer style. Wait, no. They weren't like, let me see here. I'm just gonna copy that. Yeah, like it wasn't from like a pattern or something. These were actually from um, fabrics that were scanned. So that was quite cool. And so what I did do, which was quite fun, was I used the Adobe, I think I used the Adobe Capture app. Yeah, to pull the patterns because that Adobe Capture app was really good for taking that image and then turning it into a pattern, especially with, you know, the irregularity of some of these things. And sometimes they looked a little bit, like how they turned out was like, you could see that they weren't quite perfect, but for the most part, they were really cool and they can add some quite cool effects. And yeah, so that was what I used over there. I'll put those links down below. I don't want to be too like silly or whatever, but let me see here. Modern Renaissance. Here we go. But I actually really loved how those turned out. Oh, I've got my new site thing here. So here you are. So they're like quite brocade inspired, and I have some cool samples of like how you can use them, and then you can really take advantage of those metallic color palettes to create a really cool like dimensionality, and almost like it's kind of that metallic embroidery with those. So I think you can have a lot of fun. I always need to use my brushes a bit more, but I've got so many of them. I'm just like, I want to just be making the next thing. But yeah, so I try to bring other brushes, into play whenever I can. Here's like a kind of example of how I was kind of layering two different patterns there, but they're fun pattern brushes and they're definitely created from like, historic things. So it's super fun. So I'm going to cut it there. So we're right at an hour. So I'm super happy. And I'm so glad that you guys got to leave. Elena, Nicole, Joyce, Carballo, Patrick, everybody got to be on. And don't forget, like, you guys can, let me just show you something. In case you're not already, just to let you all know, you can subscribe to me on Behance for 10 bucks and you get a huge, you get tons for your money. So you get my huge library with hundreds of Photoshop brushes, and you can actually get this entire gold play collection, which is 77 brand new brushes. Because you get all of the new releases whenever you're a member. So, and then plus you get all of my tutorial toolkits from back. So you can see like here, I've got samplers from all my brush collections. I've got tutorial toolkits that are specific. You get brushes that are not available on my website. And yeah, so you get a lot of stuff for 10 bucks, and you can cancel anytime, which is really cool. So have to give my little spiel there, but here's the gold play brushes. I just released them yesterday. You can, as you can see them, you can have fun with them. I've done all the experimenting so that you don't have to. So you can stack those brush strokes, add those drop shadows, create some really fun things. And let's see here, what else? Create shiny brush strokes. And here you can see the samples of those. So thank you guys to everybody who's also, all you guys who are supporting me on my subscriptions. That's amazing. Most of these samples that I've already done I've already done them on live streams. And now I got that done. I want to do What I need to do next with these is tomorrow I'm gonna I think I'll do some holiday stuff with these, and also I'll have something oh gosh, Tuesday 10:30. Okay. So tomorrow like okay, you can see my address there. Oh dear. So tomorrow I'll be online at 10:30 in the morning, and yeah, I'll have something like holiday themed. So that'll be tomorrow. Tammy, thank you so much. Everybody, thanks so much for joining me. And also, yeah, because I was not here last week, I was trying to finish up this collection. Yeah, so I was like a little bit rusty today. Oh my goodness. Like, I take a week off, and then when I start, I'm like, okay, where's my brain? It's so crazy. Oh my goodness. Tammy, thank you so much. Thanks, Elena. All right, you guys have a good one. Thanks for tuning in and also like dropping in your comments. You guys are the best. I'll see you next time.